Do you want to talk about like the different ways of setting a price for your NFT?
Yeah, I think it all kind of depends on what your goal is. For us, we really wanted to do a lot of like really cool, airdrops like the VRM, the PFP projects. I mean, we knew those things would be pretty expensive, so we set it up in advance, and I'm glad we did this. We set up in advance, like, okay, here's the deal. Like, the team is going to take this percentage. The treasury is going to get this percentage, and that's it. Like that's everything, and it made it really nice and clear. It's good to be really super clear about that in advance, so that people don't ever feel like there's any impropriety going on or anything like that. And this, not to the question, but sort of on like continued financial stuff in NFT space. If you really lay out to the community like how money's being spent, like where expenses are going, I think they appreciate it and they trust things more generally. So we try to do that a lot with Anada. But yeah, so a lesson that I learned from the Mint was that you don't ever underestimate how stoked people might be about a project. We did not expect ours to. We did a fair price. It was like a Dutch auction, basically, where everybody could see everybody else's bids. The top 2,000 bids won. It was a 24-hour process. It could end randomly at any period in the last hour. And so
So what would be the difference between that and like the traditional way of
the
doing it?
traditional way of doing it is not going to, unless you set a really prohibitively, like I would never have set the price that they went for in the Dutch auction as the price, that if we had asked for just a set price. But we underestimated demand. We underestimated that Moonbirds came out a week before our thing and got people really horny for NFTs again. We had to delay our thing and then by a month just to do some model updates and stuff. We wanted to make sure that like the release was really good. And yeah, so then Moonbirds came out a week before, kicked off this like NFT, like absolute, everybody was so into NFTs at the time. And then we did our Dutch auction that everybody knew about, and yeah, it ran up crazy. Like putting a cap on it, if you're going to do a Dutch auction, might be good. Like just pick a number that you're just like, oh, this would be obscene if they went any higher than this, and then cap it there, I guess. Like, so if you're going to do 2,000, like the first 2,000 to reach this number, if the number is reached, just get it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that method though does incentivize like a nice full treasury, which is good. Versus like you wouldn't want to set if you had to set a price for your NFT, you probably wouldn't want to set like an obscene number, right? Usually they're pretty reasonable
Right.
about things, and so you might not end up with this capitalized as treasury, even if it's really popular. You're probably in that case like trying to fund the treasury with like royalties and stuff, which is fine too. But it's a little bit more uncertain. DCF and I and Grug, another founder, came from all sort of traditional backgrounds and got into crypto eventually. Those guys have been in it for a lot longer than I have. But we all knew that like knowing sort of kind of what your runway is was important, especially in like startups. And so instead of relying on like recapitalizing the treasury with royalties, we mostly were like, okay, well, I mean, if we know from right after the launch, like how much money we have, it's going to make it easier for the DAO to make decisions. But it depends on what you want to deliver. Like our stuff all had to be functional. PFPs aren't functional necessarily, but they are really neat. The way we did that project with all the foundation artists, but like VRM models, we did another drop with like chibi versions of Venatas and stuff. It's really cool. But those were also like a whole different VTuber model and stuff. It's a lot of moving parts, a lot of technology, a lot of like creators involved, and it does get kind of expensive. So just know like what you need, like what your budget needs to be when you're planning out how you're gonna do the actual sale, I would say.